Good morning, good afternoon. All right, so this is the time that everyone turns their cameras on. Ready, set, go.
Morning.
Morning. All right, let's see. Oh, look at this. There's always an uptick. You can keep your hoodie on. It's all good, Murray. It's all good. I would say the greatest gift you could give somebody is creating a space where they can show up as their authentic self. So, as we go down this road together, one of the things that became very present for me, and I've been thinking about a lot in all of you, is the essence of this gap, right? And like, what is the gap? The gap is what stops you from getting to where you are today to having ultimately what you want. Because that's what you're here for, right? You're here for something. And as we've been going through this, I've been going through business planning and I've talked to hundreds of agents, it just doesn't work. So this next part is the actionable part in doing this. And as I said to you guys yesterday and I believe last week, the most important thing I could teach you guys is how to think through these things and actually use the live examples, right? So what happens is I can give you an exercise like, hey, go do the customer scorecard. Now go and grade all your numbers and let's see, figure out how to turn your ones to sixes. And then you're going to go and then identify them and pair them with the skills. And there's some people listening, they're like, oh, shoot, man, like, how do I do that? Right. And in essence, it's exactly what failure looks like to us. If you leave and that's what your experience is, I failed. Our company failed, right? Because our job is to get you to use this stuff. Tegan, are you on a walking treadmill? That looks awesome. We all need to get one of those.
I am. I just bought it for $100 off someone in downtown Seattle. So if I look funny, that's why.
Not really. You're the winner in my book. I wish I could do this all day. So,
I know my mom once held a patent for a treadmill desk, but she let it lapse.
So what ultimately we want to do is fill the gap. So we're going to start with this first part of what holds us back. I always say that one of the most important things any human being in the world could have is self-awareness, right? Who are you and what can you do and what can't you do, right? And in essence, like objecting to do something is in life is just a feeling that you have. And when you realize that behavior change is tied to two things, it's tied to cost and payoffs. This is how our brain works. And most of the payoffs are tied to our two primary human needs, certainty and comfort. So if you think about it, right, you look at exercise. I don't have time to go to the gym, right? The payoff is you're justifying your bad health. But I don't have time. I work all the time. I have kids. I have stuff to do. I don't have time. But then there's a cost to that, right? There is the endorphins, there's the peak state you're in, and most importantly, your health. Now you go to a doctor and the doctor says, if you don't start exercising, you're at high risk for fill in every single disease in the world, where being out of shape literally is the number one leading thing that makes it toxic, right? You can get sick, but if you're sick and out of shape, it's even worse, right? So now the cost says, okay, the cost is greater. A simpler example is smoking. I smoke. Why? Because it helps me with stress. It's social. I do it when I drink, all these different reasons that people have for being a smoker. And then you go to the doctors, like if you continue smoking, you get emphysema. The moment you realize the cost is greater than the payoff, you'll change, right? So we need to understand what our payoffs are constantly when we're doing things that we don't want to do. Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some live volunteers. And I'm going to walk us through essentially doing this today. So give me 1 second. I'll get everybody all dialed in here. So essentially what I want to teach you all today is what I believe is the most important thing, is now learning how to think through this, right? So we're literally going to go through and understand what our challenges are. How do we create a solution for them? And what's the action item, right? Because change without action is just an idea, right? Change without action is just an idea. So we said in the business plan, I'm going to drop the link back into this in the doc, and everyone hop on this doc because this is what we're going to be working off of today. And then I need a volunteer who feels like bearing their soul today. You can be vulnerable, you can be transparent, you can be honest, but you're going to get exactly how to work through that. So who wants to be a brave soul today? Amanda. All right, unmute yourself. Can you unmute yourself?
I can unmute myself. Yeah.
All right. So look, we identified that what has not worked for you in the past with business planning, right? So essentially, we're going to now learn how to work through this process, right? Because hit yes if this is true for you. If I'm going to tell you, hey guys, why don't you identify what works and then you proactively make the change? Who here is confused as to, okay, like what does that really look like? How does it show up in my calendar and how do I actually do it so I can make money out of it? Hit yes in the chat. Guys moving a little slow today. Somebody needs some coffee. All right. So Amanda, let me share my screen. Okay, here we go. All right. So what are some of your challenges?
Being consistent. I would say just being consistent, right? That they're
Being
it's
consistent
easy.
with what? Let's specify.
Well, following through on something, right? Like coming up with an idea, seeing it through from start to finish, sticking with that time and again.
Okay, so ready? I told you I was going to pick on you a little bit today, but this will be good for you.
It'll totally be good for you. That's why I raised my hand.
Exactly. You're the smartest one here, in my opinion. First one, first serve. So listen, here's the thing. To really make meaningful change, it can't be this thing like an idea, a project, or anything, because we want to be surgical with what we're doing. We want to be tactical. It's like when we do these big general things, right? It's like if you can't figure out what to send out in your CRM, and I tell you to make like a year-long plan or a 6-month plan, you're going to be overwhelmed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're like 0 to 1. So give me a challenge. Is it being, maybe we could say being consistent with client outreach?
Yeah, that's legit.
That's legit. Okay. So what is it? So what's your challenge with it, right? Like, why can't you do it?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think if I'm going to just come up with reasons, it's kind of a lot of things. So getting distracted towards something else, or for example, it might be something I'm not comfortable with. So then when, the other something distracting comes in, it's easy to kind of go towards that.
Okay, so ready, pause. Being consistent with client outreach, because when you feel uncomfortable about what you have to do, you default to busy work to avoid the discomfort.
Hey,
Correct?
Chirag, it's Suze. Can you switch to the document tab? We're seeing the Zoom tab.
No. Sorry.
Thank you.
Is that better?
Yeah,
Yes.
I can see that.
So you see, look, this is what you had in the beginning, being consistent with client outreach. That's actually not your challenge. Your challenge is when you feel uncomfortable about what you have to do, you default to busy work and avoiding discomfort. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is the solution?
The solution really it feels like creating a container where I have no other input coming in, and I just sit down and am committed to seeing the activity through, for example. So time blocking, I mean, in theory, the word would be time blocking, but that feels like it's a whole other challenge in itself.
So time blocking is nothing more than the art of saying no.
I like that as a definition.
Yeah, that's my definition. It's the art of saying no. So I will time block, plan who I am going to reach out to. And until that is finished, regardless of how uncomfortable I feel, I'm committed to completing my tasks. Actually, you know what? I'm committed to keeping the promises I make to myself.
That's nice.
Now watch this. Now here's your action item. I will print out my KPIs of money and put them in front of me each day to ensure it is top of mind how much money is at stake each day, week, and month, so I can easily identify the cost of comfort and the value in my promise. How does that sound?
Pretty specific and tangible.
Yeah, because look, like if you look at this, it's you're not sharing your screen. It's like to see what the chat says when we do this. When I time block, I put everything in my calendar, even the times I watch TV.
Wow.
Set your do not disturb on your phone and laptop for when you're meant to do a task in your time block. So you have no distractions. Hide your phone in the drawer and focus. Did you think you can do this now?
I can do it.
So now the next thing that you want to do, part of your action item is, right? Track what I do when I get uncomfortable doing something. So I know what the avoidance behaviors, what the avoidance patterns are. See, our brain has this amazing ability to process information differently. Process information differently when it's given to us in this way. When we know what we're looking for, if you've identified 10 behaviors that cause procrastination, you'll start looking for them every day, right?
Right. If you're just more aware of them, you can sort of track when they come up and yeah, be mindful of how to navigate them.
Exactly. Okay. So now I need to see where everyone else is. If you understand the way that this process works, hit yes in the chat box. So I want to make sure that everyone knows what they have to do. If you don't, you can say so as well. All right, perfect. All right, thank you, Amanda. So now we have our next volunteer. Now we're going to walk through a client-facing one, right? Because this works the same way with our clients and understanding how to proactively build things into a process. Who here has clients that contact them all the time that the calls are unwarranted, they're unplanned, and they're a nuisance to their day, or they're like or they keep you away from your time blocks? Probably some of us, right? You guys are all very serious today. Okay, who's going to be the next volunteer? Who's up? Come on, don't be shy. Jesus.
I'll do it. It's Linda.
Thank you, Linda. You got to turn your camera on though, so people can see it.
I'm actually, I've been up all night looking after the twins, so I'm still in my pajamas.
All right, fair enough. You can be a black screen.
Thank you.
All right. So let me go back to my other screen. All right, now this is client facing, right? We get all these different challenges with our client. The challenge, why or what is my client contacting me about? The solution, what can I do moving forward to proactively solve the challenge? Action items, the steps I'll take to bake the solution to my sales process. Remember, every action item has to show up in your calendar. Like if it's not written in your calendar, it's never going to happen. So what's the challenge you have with some of your clients right now? Linda? Where did she go?
Sorry, I'm here. I do believe that when I get a call from a client at any time, or if I'm working on something, whether it's the agents texting me later at night or whatever, I do find that my tendency is to kind of respond straight away. I don't like to just think I've got to pick everything up in the morning. So I just, if I'm awake, I kind of like will do it.
So this is a client challenge. That's a team challenge.
No, sorry, with a client or anybody. If I'm working with a client and they text me, if I'm out with other clients and I get a text or a call, I will just text back and say, I will get back to you soonest. But if I'm kind of just taking time for myself while I'm working on the computer, then I will usually answer or respond immediately.
All right, so your challenge is always respond to clients whenever they contact you, unless you are out with other clients. So essentially you work on demand.
I do.
Okay, so what can I do moving forward?
I think once again, as Amanda said, it's a case of really having a plan where I set my time per each day. If I'm at home working, that I'm doing something specific and focus on getting that task done before I move on to answering a question.
That's not really a solution. That's not, unfortunately, that's not a solution to this. So if you always respond to clients whenever they contact you, what is the solution? Become aware of the patterns of information people are asking you for by documenting all of their requests. Right?
Okay.
See, we don't keep track of anything. We get all these objections and challenges and concerns, and no one keeps track of anything. Right?
Yeah, I probably don't, because I do answer straight away. So if it's something that I've got to attend to and I haven't been able to attend to it, then I would make a note of it in my.
No, I don't mean like that. I want you to track your challenges. My client called me about X. My client called me about Y. My client contacted me about Z, and I picked up the phone because of my fear or whatever it is, right? But in the end, everything has a pattern, right? And when you start looking at things, then you could be in the pattern recognition business.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
once you start cataloging everything, then you could do to it. And the action is based on the information requested, I can, based on the information, I can build in proactively into my sales process what clients want. Okay. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but just say, for example, you're working on an escrow, okay? And you're waiting to get information back from the client that you have to get over to the other agent because they're busy doing a contingency removal or something like that. Do you still, I feel like I'm on a time crunch. I feel like I have to attend to that first because it's more important than sitting there and writing an email, writing my newsletter or whatever I've time blocked to do. So it's like prioritizing, and I always feel like what comes in seems to be more important than what I'm actually doing at the time, if that makes sense to you.
So part of this, okay, so part of this is understanding how to prioritize tasks, right? And the other part is like Caitlin said, is how to set boundaries, right? There are three ways that you prioritize tasks. If it's important, right? It's something that needs to get urgent. It's something that needs to get done in a time frame. Urgent and important needs to get done within the next 2 hours, right?
Okay.
And that's how you need to start categorizing your tasks, right? But
Okay.
listen, we're not Jack Bauer. We're not operating in real time. And if someone has to wait an hour to do something, your deal's not going to die because of it.
Okay.
Look, a lot of these things are our own problems, but if you're not tracking what these requests are, you don't have anything to look at to change. Nothing. You can't change your behaviors. You can't change your sales process. You can't deal anything. You're just doing this all based off a feeling that you have. Oh, I got to get back to my client. Oh, I got to get back to my. You can't build a business like that. That's playing defense, and like to win any kind of game, you have to play offense and score points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Well, Caitlin, in terms of like readily available clients that on demand, these people just want information. So it's understanding what information they want, what's important to them, and proactively setting up the times that you're going to get it from them, right? And just because somebody messaged you at 10 o'clock at night does not mean we have to email them back, right? Schedule a lot of this. You're either going to train people on how you want them to treat you, or you're going to react to how they feel. And don't do things like send emails at 10 o'clock at night to people, because guess what? Then they're going to call you. Schedule send. Just because, look, I send people emails at night at weird hours because I work weird hours, and that's when I have time to do it. It does not mean I have any expectation that people are going to respond. Right? All right. So this is what I want you to do today. You need to start. I showed you the client-facing one, so it's something you could do. But the main thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go into this document, make your own table, and start working through what has not worked in your business. Identify the real challenge behind it, the solution, and the action item. How do I incorporate this into my business plan? Well, Wendy, in essence, what we're doing is we're figuring out what did not work in your plan, right? So she chose when she used this business plan example, her challenge was being consistent. So what didn't work in her plan is that she made a plan and can't be consistent. Real estate agents don't answer the phone. Real estate agents also don't give clear communication plans of when they're going to communicate to clients and what they're going to communicate about. So anyone can run a business any way they want. It's all about setting the expectations up front. You guys have bought and sold hundreds of homes, over thousands if I put all of you together. People want the same set of information, but when you go there, you give them all these promises and all this stuff you're going to do because you want a deal or a client. And then after that, you have to follow through and be consistent. So you need a written plan. These people need to understand when you're going to call them, what you're going to contact them about, when's a good time to just do a one-off call versus a structured meeting. All right, we're doing another pitch and compass session in like 5 minutes. I'm gonna have them drop the link in the chat if anyone wants to join. Actually, no, 5 ways you could grow your business in the new economy. So some of the stuff will be new for you, some of the stuff will be different, but I encourage you guys to join and if you want to keep your learning. So look, be focused, be vigilant, and understand that changing our behaviors and how we think through these things is the most valuable thing we could do. Make sense, everybody? If anyone's lost about this, hit the word lost in the chat. All right, cool. Nobody's lost, so I know all of you are going to do this. All right, as always, love in my heart. I love you all. Look, keep being the ones that make a difference. Because you're the special people that show up every day to better yourselves, to better the lives of others. Keep believing in yourself. Keep dreaming. And this is as simple as it comes. You're literally identifying this and you're learning how to think through this. Because once you know how to think through this, you can unlock self-awareness and execution that no other people can. So I shall see you guys either next week or I'll see you guys in a couple of minutes. Bye, everybody.